And welcome to our Athletic Directors podcast and videocast brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union, serving their members' financial needs since 1951. All right, Bill, big football game on Saturday. Second round of the FCS playoffs. Montana comes to town. What do people need to know for this game on Saturday? Will there be tickets available for purchase, etc.?
Yeah, good question, Larry. So more than likely on Tuesday at 10 a.m. we'll have a minimum amount of tickets released for general public purchase. But stay tuned. We're actually kind of working through a lot of that as we were over the weekend. And then once, obviously we knew who the opponent was, we're continuing to work through it here on Monday. And so if there are any, much like we've done previously, kind of a ticket release Tuesday, if you will, would occur at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday.
All right, so have that in mind. If you don't have tickets currently in hand, probably Tuesday morning 10 a.m. is when you need to get on it, and you better not wait till Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. because there probably won't be any left.
That's right. I mean, again, it's been somewhat of a historic run here already, I think, from an athletic standpoint this year, in this academic year, and to play Montana twice in a year, certainly is historic as well. So it should be a great game. Obviously, every time these two teams play, it seems like it's one score, dictates whether, who wins the game. So should be a great game.
One of the popular things that you guys do during the regular season are the Miller Lite touchdown tents down on the field. Can you do those during the postseason?
Everything is, the best way to answer that question is everything we do from a game standpoint has to be looked at through the lens whether it's permissible from an NCAA championship standpoint. And so we're actually going to do some, you saw the satellite tents that we had on the kind of across from the Miller Lite tent this year. We're gonna do some smaller satellite tents, but there's based on NCAA rules, there's a number of things you cannot do. One of them is to have alcohol exposed in an area. It has to be to have alcohol in the stadium, it has to be in a contained area, and so that would not be contained. So, but we're going to do it, and I think it's more the opportunity for folks to buy into that from the location standpoint, and then obviously there'll be some hot coffee and chocolate and those types of things from a food and snack and drink standpoint. So, anyways, but all that to be said, no noisemakers. Everything needs to be about as neutral as it can be, even though you're on someone's home field. That's always been kind of a bugaboo with me. I mean, it's you earn the opportunity to play at home. I'm a big believer is let it rip. I mean, you know what, you won the right. Go put your game on the way you put the game on. Because I feel that way if we went on the road, honestly. So, but. We'll obviously comply with what we need to do, and we've done it here the last few years.
Any surprise that you're playing Montana on Saturday?
No, in a sense that once the brackets came out, I thought the committee did a great job of being very, very consistent with how they put the bracket together. And, as we're going to see this weekend, there's a number of games that are featuring conference schools. And if Liberty had not upset James Madison at James Madison, JMU would have been playing Villanova. So you would have had another one. Northern Iowa's playing Illinois State. South Dakota State's playing North Dakota State. So you're going to, you're having some folks, some teams play conference games, if you will, in the second round, and that was on top of the fact that Southeast Louisiana played Sam Houston, who they had not played, much like the Big Sky, where you don't play everybody. So they played in the first round. So again, I thought the committee, the only thing I can ever ask for, honestly, is consistency. And you know what? I thought they were extremely consistent. So all that being said, Montana coming in didn't shock me.
All right, so University of San Diego, Pioneer League school. This is a non-scholarship conference, so why are they at the table here? It's not really fair to ask them to play schools with 63 scholarships, is it?
Yeah, I think there had been a long-standing conversation about the Northeast Conference and the Pioneer Conference, and what happens with their champions, if you will. Now the SWAC, they do something different. They kind of play in their own sort of championship. The Ivy, has determined that once their regular season is done, their Ivy League champion is kind of like that's it. That they don't go further. And these two conferences were kind of always, kind of saying, what if, what happens with our champion? And so I think over the course of time, when there was conversation about the field expanding, I think there were winners all the way around, because then you'd had a couple of more automatic berths, but then you had a couple more at-large berths, and so everyone kind of won, if you will. But you're right, it is a challenge for a conference to go play a school that's fully funded, at least at our level. Much like I guess it is a challenge for our FCS schools to go play FBS schools. I mean, it's kind of that same challenge, and San Diego going to Missoula and to play in a playoff game, that's tough for anyone, and certainly was tough for them on Saturday.
All right, let's change gears, because football is going to be fun on Saturday with Montana coming back to town. First time, I believe, these schools have ever played twice in one season, and first time ever in the postseason.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it kind of ironic. Over the last, 7-8 years, it seems like one school or the other had made the playoffs, and maybe not both at the same time, although last year both did. So, just kind of interesting. I think, the path has always been there, but the two teams have never met. So kind of interesting that this is the year that it occurs, and I just know this. It's going to be a whale of a football game.
Yeah, would have met in 2004 had Eastern been able to hang on to the lead against Sam Houston State here when Woodward Field was green.
That's correct.
And when it was Woodward Field and not Roos Field.
That's right. And, there might have been one other, too. I'm trying to think. I could be wrong with this, Larry, but I think when we went down to Stephen F. Austin in 2009, if we had won that game, we might have gone to Montana as well. I could be totally wrong with that, but I think that's right. But anyways, long story short, for these two teams to hook up in the playoff game, it's always a big game whenever the teams play. But now, it's loser go home.
All right, so now let's change gears, because a big home basketball game on Wednesday for the Eagle women.
Yeah, having Gonzaga come in, the ladies have just a huge game and a good opportunity. I think we play. We're trying to figure out ourselves a little bit, and got a good win on Sunday at home, and it should be a fun game. I know the Zags lost a couple games over the weekend, so obviously they've been perennially just a really, really good program, top 25 program. So we'll have our hands full, but should be a lot of fun though. So 6 o'clock tip at Reese Court, and I'd encourage folks to come out.
And tickets are available, goweeks.com/tickets. I would think this may be, has at least had the potential to be the biggest crowd we've had for an Eastern basketball game, men or women, in some time, because Gonzaga draws very well for their women's program.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see how that plays itself out. But it should be exciting, and like I said, I think it'll be a good game too. I think obviously our team will be excited to play that game, and they know they'll have their hands full, but it should be a great atmosphere at Reese.
Eagle men off to a 6-1 start. We haven't talked since the game at Indiana, but obviously a huge win at Indiana a week ago Monday. And so this Eagle team, best start in 38 years. You have to go back into the mid-'70s since the Eagles started 6-1 on the season. First time ever since becoming an NCAA Division I institution.
Yeah, what a great start for the men. And it must have been just a thrill to be at Assembly Hall calling that game, huh? I mean, it was probably fun. A thrill just to be there, right?
Yeah.
And then to call the win, I mean, it was great. And congratulations to Coach Hayford on his career number 300th win over the weekend as well. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, you'd hope this is how you kind of grow a program. I mean, you take some guys, and unfortunately they at some stages of the game have to take their lumps along the way. And I think this team, as we have watched them grow, we've watched them play a good 30 minutes, a good 35 minutes, and now this year we're seeing them play really a solid good 40 minutes, and that's what you need to do.
Looking forward into the Big Sky Conference schedule, the schedule maker didn't do Eastern any favors with the very first game. They play Weber State, which is they're the defending conference champs and the preseason favorites, but you get them on New Year's Day when there's no students on campus. So what would have probably been a huge crowd will be somewhat smaller just because you don't have students on campus for maybe one of the biggest conference games Eastern would play at home.
But what an awesome way to start 2015.
Sure.
I mean, what the heck? We should have a great, I would say, hopefully a great local crowd and, a great opportunity to folks, especially during that time of year. I think you're at that stage looking to maybe do some things and go out, and it'll be a great, great game. Like you said, Weber's the king of the hill until they get knocked off that hill. And obviously they're going to be very, very good. But, yeah, it's too bad our students aren't here. But, unfortunately, someone's got to be in the same boat. I mean, if you flip it, our women go to Weber.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of the day, everyone's in the same boat, whether either the women's team or men's team, and then it changes every other year. So it kind of is what it is. I know. I mean, it just, there's not much you can do about it. So you just go.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about that we haven't discussed yet today?
No, like I said, I think some of the things that are happening are just incredibly exciting. The crossover between basketball and football, and hopefully our football team can make a run. We'll see. I mean, like I said, every game is this tournament is one of the best tournaments that the NCAA puts on, and it's like, for whatever reason, an under the radar tournament. I say this to you every year. I'm perplexed by that, but it just it's kind of funny that way. But it's a great, great time of year, and we're looking forward to it. I know the men have a big one at Seattle U too on next Saturday. So December is going to be a tough one based on the schedule, but I think this team's poised to do some great things.
And just one more quick note to the Candy Cane Invitational, 7th Annual Candy Cane Invitational, Friday and Saturday at the Thorpe Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and I give coaches a lot of credit. They kind of came up with this idea a few years ago, and it's really taken off. And really what it's evolved to now is a duel with Montana. And so kind of ironic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're playing Montana. So, but it's actually really, really good. And it gives both teams the ability to kind of kick off the indoor season in a way that they know that the meet's going to move along, and it's good competition between the two schools.
And that's our podcast and videocast with Eastern's Director of Athletics, Bill Chaves, here on GoEags.com, brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union.